Hello and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to part 5 of my sub setup series. This time round the build has come down from Mega Charizard 10 and they've sent in a tune for the Group 3 Renault RS01. If this is the first time you've tuned into this series, this is where you send your builds to me and I showcase them here on the channel. They have absolutely nothing to do with me and I take no credit for them whatsoever. I then give my feedback on the builds, let you know my thoughts, and I also have a little competition on the go, and there is a very tight leaderboard so far. The 4 previous cars that I've tested out have all been very, very good indeed, and the results have been excellent. So the question is, how well will this build do against those? Before I take you over to the results of that drift trial though, let's talk about the car a little bit. Now the build that he's put together for us today is very usable, as all of them have been so far. The one thing I will say about this car, being a Group 3 car, you do have a little bit of downforce against you, but at the same time he's managed to counteract that with the build that he's put together. As with all of these tunes that you guys send over to me, I like to spend a fair amount of time with them. I don't think it'd be fair to just put 5 minutes into it, say it's okay and then walk away. I do spend quite a few hours with them, making sure that I'm familiar with it. It is quite often a little bit different from what I would use, but at the same time, with any of these builds you guys are sending down, you can always get to know them, and they are all very usable and very clever in their own ways, in the way they work. When I first started using this build, it did feel a little bit twitchy to begin with, but actually that twitchiness gives you the control that you need when using this car. So it's just a matter of getting used to it, and I'm sure if you guys give it a go, like I say, give it a few laps before you start judging, because the reality is it works incredibly well. You just need to give it a little bit of time. What this car is particularly good at though is actually carrying the speed through the corners. It likes to go quickly, I found anyway whilst playing with it. And to me that can only be a good thing when it comes up to the drift trial and trying to compete against the other cars. But we'll see that in a minute, and we'll see what the result is. If any of you out there have a drift setup that you would like showcased here on the channel, then please send it over. The details of how you can contact me are coming up on the screen right now. The easiest way really is Instagram. If you have it, just send over a private message, send some pictures of the build over, and let me know if there's a livery you would like me to take from your GT profile, and I'll put it together. Like I said in the last video, I have got quite a few still outstanding, so don't expect it to be done too soon, but I will get to it as quickly as I can. So over to the Dragon Trail drift trial. I'm finally finding it a little bit easier to say that the more I say it, to see how this car will do against the others on the leaderboard. As I said before, the scores we've had so far have been outstanding, so Mega Charizard's got a lot of work to do if he wants to keep up with the pack. However, this car, like I say, likes to keep the speed through the corners, and I feel like it's a good build actually for this particular type of event. As always, the rules are incredibly simple. I just get 5 minutes to complete as many drift trials as I can with this particular vehicle. Whatever is the highest score at the end of that 5 minutes is what goes onto this leaderboard. I always complete this right at the end of capturing the footage for these videos. That way I've had lots of practice with the car and I'm not just going into it blind, so it is, as far as I can make it, a fair result. And there we go, Mega Charizard 10 manages to pull out a monstrous score of 10,449 points. Not quite enough to take first position, however it's an incredibly good effort and it does firmly put you in second position. .cfg, you managed to keep the crown for another little while. We'll have to wait and see what the next car brings. But I would just like to say a huge thank you to Mega Charizard for taking the time to send this build over. I've really enjoyed using it. Hopefully you guys will too. But what I'll do is I'll take you over to that build now. So if you fancy replicating it and giving it a go, you can. So let's take a look at what he's come up with. So for this one, you are going to need to spend some mileage points. He's taken it all the way up here. So level 3 for the power and taking it right to the top at 130%. That's going to leave you with 695 brake horsepower. Weight reduction, he's taken to level 2 there and all the way down to 90%, which is going to leave you 1,098 kilograms. Traction control for this build is set to 0. I've got comfort hards, both front and rear. Brake balance is set to 0. Now the ride height for this, when Mega Charizard sent it over to me, is in inches, but I have converted it straight into millimeters to keep it the same as all of the setups I give you here on the channel. So that converts over to 66 and 66 on both of those. Also, natural frequency is set to 4.1 on the front and 4.2 on the rear. The anti-roll bar is set to 7 on the front and 4 on the back. The compression is set to 55 front and rear, and the rebound is 85 front and rear. Camber angle for this one is set to 1.5 on the front and 0.5 on the rear. The toe angles are both neutral there at 0 and 0. You may find, if you want to play with that a little bit, that might take a little bit of the twitchiness out, but at the same time I would still give it a go first as Mega Charizard intended it to be, because it definitely works as it is. Downforce for this one, like I say, it's always going to remain a little bit on there, but it's going to be as low as you can possibly put it there, so 300 on the front and 700 on the rear. The differential is set to 30, 40 and 20. And the transmission here is set to fully customised. 174 miles per hour is your top speed. And then what I'll do is I'll just leave it on this bit so you can take all the numbers off the screen. I can't remember which ones have been adjusted, to be honest with you, but just make sure you copy whatever is there. So there we go, and once again, thank you very much Mega Charizard for sending this one over. I hope you guys all have a go at this yourselves and use that comment section to give him as much feedback as you can. I'm sure he'd really appreciate hearing all of your thoughts. The next build I've got coming up in this series is going to be a bit of a challenge for me. It's something that I don't often use in the game, but just to give you an idea, it is going to be 4-wheel drive. So fingers crossed I can get through that, and well, it'll be interesting to see what kind of points the 4-wheel drive gets versus all of these rear-wheel drive cars we've had so far. Thanks to all of you that have stayed all the way till the end. I really appreciate it. Make sure you give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. Also, if this is the first one of my videos you're ever watching and you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel. I've got plenty of content like this coming out all the time. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, and I'll see you all on the next one.